Welcome to the Women in Business radio show with Sean Murphy, connecting women in business around the globe.
Hello and welcome back into the Women in Business Radio Show studio. We now have all of our guests off the M20 and in the studio. So it's almost like we've started again. If you haven't been listening to this full show that's been going on for the last hour or so, you've got absolutely no idea what I'm talking about now. If you if you are just listening to this as you've come onto the podcast and you're just listening to this, we've had a bit of a... haven't we?
Yeah.
Let me introduce my co-host. My co-host today is Rachel Bryant from Your Video Team. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
First time co-hosting the show.
Yes.
First time co-hosting the show. So what you must be thinking of, absolutely.
I can't wait to come back.
Absolutely no idea. So who have we got in the studio today? We have Noelle Mapianda, who is a businesswoman and an author, and she wrote Queen, Get Your Mojo Back, about loss of identity in motherhood. So we're going to be talking to Noelle about her book and a little bit about that process. And also in the studio we have Helen Vandenberg, founder of Published and Profitable. So I have my glasses on that I can see the people, which means I can't actually see what's written down. Okay, it's one or the other. So I can't see any knobs or buttons, so anything could happen. So Helen is the founder of Published and Profitable. She is a business growth strategist who helps brilliant business coaches, brilliant female coaches, consultants and experts get visible, get leads and get clients. And she helps them to become best-selling authors, in-demand speakers, and to turn their wisdom into wealth. Now, I would love to say that this just happened by design, that I got an author and a publishing expert in the studio on the same day and actually at the same time. But you know, it wasn't.
Give all the secrets away.
There are no secrets. This is it. There's no secrets. What you see is sort of what you get. So, also in the studio, I'm just going to introduce him. We also have Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
Hello, Ben. Ben is Rachel's business partner and husband in the studio because we improvised before by having a show about couples in business. And Ben is still with us. And just in case he makes a noise, spouts up, falls off his chair, whatever, we better mention that he's in here just so that you know.
I survived the last one.
Yes.
We sat as far away from me as possible.
Just so you know who's in the studio. Also, if you're watching this on video, which I'm not sure if we're going to be after this, I've been inspired watching Stephen Bartlett. I saw his podcast on YouTube, and he's got cameras everywhere, and it all switches, be edited. It's just wonderful. I've got a phone on a stick. Okay, so
if it works, it works.
In the corner. So you know, we'll have to see how that works. But if you are watching this on video, you might be wondering who Ben is, and well, that's who Ben is. Right. Let us, without any further ado, we won't do any of our normal admin today about how to listen. We'll put that in the blurb. Let's get going with Noelle. So Noelle, tell us a little bit about your book and why you decided to write it.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. My name is Noelle Mapianda. I'm the author of Queen, Get Your Mojo Back. So this book came about after my first maternity leave. So I've been working all my life, after the normal route to university, work, professionally. And then I had no clue about the implication of becoming pregnant. So I was clueless. I came off maternity leave, and it was also during COVID. So my company, sorry if they're listening. So my company policies were not defined in terms of what to expect. So like things like maternity leave, and to be fair, I didn't really care because I didn't know. But then I ended up finding out about all those things after. So for instance, I knew that my company only provided the standard statutory pay for the 6 weeks one. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, had I known this, I could at least planned, in advance. So everything was just so confusing. But then after that, I resumed work, and that's where the turning point, became very. I could actually sense it. I felt like I lost myself. So it was as if like I knew how to be a good employee, to actually becoming clueless. I didn't know what was happening to me, and I didn't feel the support either from the workplace. And at the same time, whenever I mentioned this with my community, it was as if like they were telling me, "Your mom, you should get this." So I was confused, like on all angles, and I didn't know where to turn. Then that's why I decided, let me investigate this, because I'm an analyst by job. So I said, okay, I'm going to just, talk to other women just to check if they're still normal, because I actually thought that, I was lost, I lost myself, literally. Yeah. That's what I call it, getting your mojo back. So I lost my mojo then. And after interviewing several women, they all had the same conclusion that, hey, we actually lose it. You're not alone. So we also, experienced the, similar things, and that's where this book came about. I decided that I'm going to make this conversation public. I know it's there, but it's less spoken about. So I want it to be told in our workplaces, and I want the women to have the freedom to speak about it, because these things are real. They happen where you lose yourself, because there's so many things that have changed. Your priorities have changed. Your life has turned upside down. Yeah. So those are the drivers that just made me speak about it. So in the book is my voice as well as other women's voices that I'm just carrying out.
Listen, I've got a couple of questions.
Yes.
The first one is, I think that actually recognising that had happened is probably a key
Absolutely.
to this. I think a lot of people and circumstances change and identities change for all genders, for everybody in different circumstances.
Yes.
But actually recognising that has happened, that shift has happened, I think is the key here. When you went to, and also quite unusual, when you went to other women, was it a case of they knew it had happened but they decided that that's okay, or that when you mentioned it they sort of reflected and went, oh my goodness, okay, yes, I have. So did they recognise it in themselves, or was it you actually saying it that the light bulb went on?
So basically, I would say I had 3 groups. There are groups where I'm African, so if you come from a different African descent, like, you don't discuss things like this, so it's natural. So when you become a mum, you should expect the changes.
You're a mum.
Absolutely.
You don't talk about it. You just
exactly.
You don't moan that you feel different. Job. You get on with it.
Group number 1. Group number 2, they knew about it, but at the same time they didn't know how to go about it. So they were just in between. And then the third group, the one that were like, oh yeah, actually, it happened to me too, but I didn't know it was that. So yes, so some of them, after the book, that's when the light bulb moment came, and they realized, oh, actually, it's true. Yeah, so I had those 3 main ones.
When you wrote the book, did you have African women as was that who you were having the conversation with, an African woman, or was it just all women?
So because it's about women, I went back in history. So I had to see how women handle this childhood thing in the West, because I'm in the West now. And at the same time, I found myself, being where it's normal for you to combine both your career as well as motherhood, because the help is there. So nobody actually get to, think about the gaps. So now I'm between of what I knew to the unknown now, stepping into the unknown. And it was tough. But at the same time, like, you just accept it. That's, So I went back in history. I am now and also in the future. So most of them gave what they knew, because we all tend to rely on our past or in our knowledge, on what we know. So I had to investigate my own mom. So she's mentioned, like, how did she cope with that? Because she had 5 children. She still worked. She never stopped working. And whereas with me, I only had 1, and I felt like, how will I do this? And that's why I can't complain to her, because as far as she's concerned, I had 5. And exactly. What's your problem? So it was just,
But they're 2 separate issues, aren't
Absolutely,
they?
they are.
So one issue is an issue of like time management almost, isn't it?
Yes.
Of, I've got this number of children, I've got this number of hours, I've got this work to do to bring in this money, and I need to juggle all of that lot. But the other one, which I think is the key that set you on your path, is I don't feel like I have the power that I had before. I feel like I may be making decisions differently.
Yeah.
I may be working differently. I feel different, and my identity and the power that I had before. They're 2 very different things, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So that's why, like, in the book, I try to explore like both sides.
Right.
So I'm narrating how is done where I come from, and then, what happens in the West. Because my argument or suggestion that is like, because it's not spoken about, people are just suffering in silence. So workplace, your job expects you, to be at the top, on top of it. But that's unfair, because if you really, want to support women, you have to also, give that cushion for them to kind of, be comfortable. Like my job, for instance, I'm a senior analyst. Prior to that, I was a team leader. And then when I wanted to return, I know by law that, whatever I leave behind legally, I can go just, restart from where I stopped. My boss, my boss was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think you'll be able to handle this." And that was like, see me differently, and myself included. And I did not want that. I wanted the outside world to support me, like family, work everywhere, for them to recognize, okay, there is an additional person, but I'm still me, because my brain is not my baby, if that makes sense. Yeah.
You're not bringing the baby to work either. So it's like, I'm still walking in the door as Noelle, as the person who walked out however many weeks or months ago. Like, why would that make a difference to... Yeah, how strange.
I don't know.
But it does. Have you had any men read your book?
My boss has four children. He's a man. So I assume that he will understand, But when I approached him the first time, he was like, when she took some time off. Then in my head, I was like, what are you insinuating? Clearly. I mean, if I could stay at home, I wouldn't be here, things like that. But then you don't know how to take it because he's your boss. So do you confront him? Do you just, ask him?
Is he still your boss?
He's still my boss. Yes, okay. The line right now.
Okay, I'm not going to say what I thought I was going to, which is that very often, perhaps when somebody sort of makes assumptions and predicts what you can and can't achieve, it's because they're doing that from their own experience and how they feel. So perhaps in this, perhaps it was something that he felt his identity had changed. Perhaps he felt a different draw and a different pull, and so assumed that you would.
Yeah, because you asked about men reading my book. My husband, he's also mentioned, because I had to bring all of me.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't. You published under your own name. You didn't go under
no.
Francis Fancy Pants.
So I'm there guilty as charged.
And hope nobody notices it's you.
So when I was talking to him, because initially I thought I was the only one that lost it, but because he's a first-time dad too. He lost his mojo as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So I realized, this thing is not just for female. It can happen to both genders. But then I had to talk about me. So he can write his own book if he wants to.
So what I want to do before I forget, which is quite likely to happen, is how can people get hold of your book? What's it called and get hold of it? Yeah.
Hi. I'm the queen. I am a queen, yes. The book is called The Queen, Get Your Mojo Back, Conquering Identity Loss in Motherhood. So you can get this on Amazon. So it's Amazon, or on Insta. If you tag me, you can get through me too.
Okay, so thank you so much for sharing, albeit quite briefly actually, that process. And I think what we need to say to both guests here is we'd love to have you both back on so that we can spend more time with
perhaps the A20 way.
Yeah. Start a little bit more talking about the process of actually going through that self-publishing, and introduce Helen properly into the studio. So welcome Helen.
Good to be here. Thank you so much.
Helen, this is really your expertise, is helping women publish their book and using self-publishing. So how are we going to do this? I think Helen, I'm going to start with context. I like to put people in pigeonholes. So how did you start doing this? What was your journey that brought you to doing this and helping other people do it?
Well, I'm the opposite to Noelle. I'm a completely accidental author. I have a business where I help coaches, consultants and trainers get more clients. I find there's these it tends to be women. I have a few brave men, but there's these people with amazing talents and gifts, and they love doing what they do, and they pretty much hate the marketing bit, which I've always loved. So I thought, is there a way I can help them? So that was my business. Get clients fast. Let's help people who've got brilliant talents get more clients. Been doing that for years. And so one of my client getting strategies was speaking. So I was booked for an actually paid speaking gig. I thought, woohoo, gonna get paid for this.
Made it.
I've made it. And got the email, and you'll know, Sean, how as I am dyslexic, how detail orientated I am not on my emails. And I thought, yeah, that's great, I'm booking that in. Got the email, it said, great, Hal, we'd love to, we've got a small budget for your speaker fee, but we do have a larger budget for materials. So what we'd like to do is purchase 300 copies of your book for the, as part of your speaker fee. I thought, this is amazing. But I haven't got a book because they'd got me confused with Helen Simpson, who was another speaker who did have a book. And I said, let me just get back to you on that. When's the conference? 8 weeks' time. Yep, that's fine. How quickly do you need the books? We need them on the day. Great, we'll do it. That's how I ended up writing my first book, Get Clients Fast. And I just treated it like a project. I thought, I've written lead magnets, I've written thousands of pages of reports, it can't be that difficult. So I came from the opposite end. It's like, there's a thing that's got to get done. And one of the things that I think my clients enjoy is that, like, let's just get this out into the world really quickly and get you noticed. So that's how I ended up. We did deliver the book on the day. It was fresh off the press 2 days before. Every client, every visitor to the exhibition and the conference got a copy, and on the back of that I made over £150,000 in sales in the next 90 days. Wow. And that was what I found was different, because I knew how to monetize it. I knew what to put in the book to turn it into something that would grow my business, which most people, but certainly traditional publishers.
Of course they don't, do they? Because traditional publishers want book sales.
Yeah.
They want book sales, and they either don't care or they don't want to look at ongoing sales.
Yeah.
Upselling almost, isn't it? It's like, do you want fries with this?
Yeah.
What comes out of it? Okay, so those are actually really quite different things. So, Noelle, when you did your book, not to sell a program, your intention was to help.
Yeah, so my intention was initially just to start the conversation, but obviously one of the medium will be via book. And then being on maternity leave or working, with kids, you're not that rich. And then I did try, consulting, the other agencies, but they're just expensive. I could not afford them. But I just felt like I just had to, to bring it out, and then I just used Amazon.
So it's sort of slightly different intention setting out, isn't it? So yours was you had a message, you had something that you needed to get out.
Yeah.
You also wanted to sell the book, so
yes.
you wanted some sort of money coming in before that.
Yeah.
Helen, you wanted to get stuff out. You wanted to give good information, because nobody's going to come and buy anything from you if what's in the book is useless. So you wanted to get good information out, but your initial thing was to actually sell books and have an upsell from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And I find that's where, if people want to write a memoir or a personal diary, I'm not their gal. If they want a book that will grow their business, then that's me.
Yeah. Okay. So does that mean that anybody working with you has to already be in a situation where they have a ready-made product or service that they can just go into, that is there to sell?
Yeah, no, not necessarily. We've done it the other way round. So people come to me, they may be transitioning out of a corporate job. They've got this passion for, let's say nutrition, and we'll write the book and turn that into an online course or a retreat, so we do that whole, because that's my gift, is like finding the money in the business.
Okay, so finding the money in the business is where you started out. So it could well be that you look at the business, you go, okay, I can see this in here, and an online course is a really good way of actually maximising sort of residual recurring income, hitting the maximum number of people. I'm just thinking this through.
Yeah.
Hitting the maximum number of people, actually at perhaps a lower price point. So it's not necessarily looking at, I'm going to get consultation clients here or high ticket clients.
It could be any end of it.
But you have to have something set up. By the time the book launches, there has to be somewhere for these guys to go.
Exactly. I think that's where so many people, they just write the wrong book. They'll write something, if they want to grow their business, they might book of 101 tips, but that's not going to position them necessarily as an expert, whereas we have a complete structure that really positions them as the expert in that field.
I think that's a really important thing, isn't it? So let me just distinguish between the two here again. So Noelle, you're writing a book not because you were in business, actually to get your thoughts out there, without necessarily an ongoing point sort of afterwards. Whereas Helen, what you're talking about here is not just publishing a book to get your ideas out there, it's actually having somewhere where that is going. There is a growth strategy in place because it's a business person or a business that's writing it and it's going on to sell this. They're really very, very different things, aren't they?
But they do cross over because we often have. I have people who, like Noelle, have come to me with a book that is brilliant. She gave me a copy when we met up previously, so I have read it. I thought, this has been excellent. And you could easily turn that to, we do have some social enterprises that we work with, and they just want to get their message out. So they're looking for speaking gigs. They're looking for maybe, we did a co-author book in the pandemic called Ready to Rise, and it was all raising money for the NHS Together Trust and the World Health Organization. So, but there has to be a focus. So we could take Noelle's book, and maybe this could be a little challenge for us if she wanted to, and it's like, no, you probably don't need to add that much into it, and just have a little marketing strategy to go, what's your goal with it, apart from getting your message out? Is that, let's get you on more podcasts, let's get you on stages, maybe you do have a mini course which could be free.
Actually do.
There you go.
If your boss is listening today and everything's failed there, we can now turn this into something.
So it's about moving things beyond the book.
Definitely,
It's beyond the book. The book is not necessarily the starting point, but it's going beyond the book.
Yes.
I mean, it's so true, because then I was asked once, what is your business? And then obviously, when I applied to come on the show, and I was like, I actually don't have a business. And later on, somebody told me, the book is not enough. And then after, obviously, she had a talk. I listened to her too. So, my brain, because I'm now on maternity leave for my second child, so I have the time. And then my baby's downstairs, by the way.
Oh, is that where Mark is?
I think so,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, he's 4 months old. But
I've just got to nip out.
Yeah, so basically, I then thought about, designing a course. So now I have the course, but obviously I've got no idea what to do next. But she's here.
Watch this space.
Yes.
Right.
It's going to be a whole mother meetup.
I do like it when I see people who've been exhibiting at the Women in Business Big Show who then, or it happens quite a lot actually on the radio show as well, where there will be 2 guests on, and normally we have sort of separate shows, but there is a crossover, and they chat and they collaborate and they start to realise, actually, we could work together. I just love that. So let's go down a little bit more into some process. We don't need to go into too much detail, but what I want, if somebody's listening in right now and they're not able to perhaps come and use your skills, Helen, but they want to know, actually, how can I do this? How can I get this out? I have got a message, I want to get this out, which is pretty much what you did, Noelle, isn't it? Now, you said you used Amazon. So did you have...
it was based on that, based on the criticism I've had, for this time round, because the message was so poignant, I wanted to outsource. So although I use Amazon for everything else, but everything else was done by other people that I'd paid, and then I just put them together and then put there.
So what were the elements in the production that you needed to do, whether you made a decision to do it yourself or get somebody else to do it for you? Are you, sorry, because we don't ask you, that we don't say we're going to ask you any of this, because we don't know. What were the steps that you needed to go through?
Okay, so the steps were, I had an idea and I knew this thing had to be a book, simply because, it was just a burning desire. So I had my manuscript, but then I attempted doing it by myself on platforms, but Amazon was the one that I wanted to use. But then it wasn't coming out the way I needed, and I wanted to be, professional.
So let's take it back a step. You're using Amazon, and Amazon have a place.
Yeah, they have a place where you can
go and load your book up and design your book.
You can, but I tried, it wasn't working for me, and I felt like I was wasting my time. I decided to outsource. So I paid for someone to design my cover. I paid for sorry. I paid for someone to check my spelling, because English is not my first language. So just to have another. Yeah, so I paid for the editing, and also I paid for a company to do my paperback design as well as my ebook. Because by myself, I don't think I was going to be able to do that, and that just made it easier. Because then I just go from everybody and just uploaded, already done stuff. Yeah.
So Amazon then went from your creative platform, where you actually sort of put the gubbins together, to your sales platform.
No, basically how it works, Amazon has all the tools that one needs. So if I were an expert like him, for instance, I would need someone to do, the media stuff. So I'll just design myself. But because I'm not savvy on I outsourced, and when I had everything, then I'm the one uploading them to my Amazon, and then I've got an account with Amazon, and that's where I decide the rest. So everything is ultimately.
So they provide a place where you can create, and then it becomes your sales platform.
Yes, so to speak. But it's not mine; it's Amazon.
Yes, So it's the platform that you use to market and actually sell your book.
Yeah, which is good because they do everything for me. I mean, I don't need to ship or to. So anything happens. I mean, she didn't mention about the cons, but the pros one is good at least.
It's good, yeah. It's just it used to be when I was doing mine, it was really unusual to self-publish. Go back 10, 11 years, my first book, and everyone said, you have to go through a traditional publisher. And there are times, definitely, when I would recommend that. Some of our authors, we might ghostwrite for them, or they've written the book, and we go this really should go to Hay House or Penguin. But for the majority of us, if you are not Oprah, you're not gonna get a look in at those kind of that publishers. They want you when you don't need them.
Yeah.
If you're if you are a normal business owner or owner of a you've got a big cause, you're probably best. You absolutely can do it yourself. And I think you were really smart, because same with us, we just outsourced to graphic designers and all that. You are the expert in the subject, so you do that bit. I'm dyslexic and I've managed to knock out 12 books. So thank goodness for proofreaders and editors. You don't have to do that. It's like that's your genius, but it is just a project. And I love the way you look to that. So it's get the manuscript done, but even before that, write the right book. Know the purpose of this book and what you want. How are you going to get people to, get in touch with you afterwards? So whilst we also love Amazon because you can get out to everywhere, and there's lots of other online book platforms, but we also do book funnels where people can buy directly from you. And the joy of that is that you have their email address. So when someone buys your book or product from Amazon...
That is an excellent point, isn't it?
Yeah, so for me, I like both. Everyone loves to be a bestseller on Amazon. That we can do. So we do have bestseller campaigns. But my main thing is let's get people buying it who are they're your ideal client with not too much money. You can send people to a website through a little ad and actually get people. And then you have the would you like fries with that? It's like, you've bought them for £10, would you like the mini course for 27? And what we're looking to do is create what we call a self-liquidating funnel, basically marketing that pays for itself, because 20% of the people who buy will buy one or two upsells. So your average order value goes from £10 book to probably £200. Then you've got an unlimited marketing budget. You're basically, people are paying you to get on your email list rather than they go to Amazon, they buy the book, you have no clue who they are. So,
there was just something that you said, and I don't want you to go through it, mainly because we don't have time to give it to do it justice. But would I be right in thinking that when you run a bestseller campaign, it's not just about I need to sell millions of these things to get onto the bestseller list? Am I right in saying that there are tactics, there's a strategy and tactic that you can work with a client that will get them to be a bestseller without necessarily selling millions of books?
Yeah, absolutely. You really don't need to sell about millions of books. New York Times bestseller, completely different thing. However, that is just a money thing. It's get you a New York Times bestseller, but most of us don't. But there are just very, very specific systems you take, and it's also I'm always much interested in bank rather than rank. It's like, it's an ego thing. We don't like a best. I really like is you to make money for your business. So, I do it, and I'm always very clear with my clients, you can be a bestseller for a day or a week. That's fantastic. And it's lovely. I think when my book came out, I was number 1 and Richard Branson was number 2, and I got that screenshot and it was boom, look out, bearded one, I'm coming. But a week later he was back on top. The truth is you absolutely can create systems and strategies, but for me it's like, lovely, tick the box, we've done the thing, we've got the screenshot, now let's really work on making money from this book for you.
So just going back, the other critical thing there is really, what's your objective? Why are you writing this book? And if I'm going to say just here, but if it's that you have a thought that you want to get out and you just want your name in print, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just okay.
You can do that yourself, absolutely.
But just be aware of why you're doing this, why you're creating that book, and what you want to happen, and manage your expectations based on that. Not thinking, well, I'm just going to write this book, I'm going to get my thoughts out there, and then expecting that actually something else is going to happen from that.
I mean, sometimes it does, just by like the fact. I mean, I cannot unsay how much that almost everyone I know wants to write a book. Almost nobody does. It's like 2 or 3% of the population actually do it. So you're phenomenal for have done it. Anyone is. And you could also make some money with it.
Why? So why? I don't know that I've heard that exact statistic before, but I do know that people do talk about writing books. It's one of the fantasies or things like, well, one day I'm going to write a book. We're all going to be J.K. Rowling, aren't we? At least one wizard book.
Yes.
Why don't people write books?
I think there's lots of reasons. There's a perception that it takes a lot of time, which it can do. If you with a traditional publisher, you're looking about 18 months to 2 years. My sister, I've promoted her books for years, but she's what I call a proper writer. She is published with Penguin, Hay House, Random House. She does fiction and non-fiction, and we're looking now.
So when you say a proper writer, you mean somebody whose career is being a writer, and they sit down and go, what am I going to write that will sell?
Yes.
And then they create it either fiction or non-fiction, and off they go.
And she's through a publisher, so
as opposed to somebody who has a business or an interest, and they are writing a book as part of that to support.
Marketing
but
brand.
if they took the book away, so if the book was suddenly vanished off the face of the earth, there's still a business and a person behind it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
I think people think there's that it's going to take 2 years, which it will in some cases if you go the traditional route. It's also like, how long? We're all busy. How much time have we got? I haven't got 3 months to hide away in a cabin. And we typically, I typically get people to come and spend a weekend with me if they're wanting us to ghostwrite it, and we'll do it. We'll literally do the 80% of it in a weekend just by getting them to talk and by interviewing them. And then we have to tidy it up and make it beautiful. But good, all of that can get in the way. And then, well, as you said, Noelle, it's that you get on the platform, and yes, you can do it all yourself, but it's not as easy as uploading a Word document. The formatting, it can just make it very, and there's not great training with it. So, I think pay for someone to do all that stuff. And I think it is. It's that, it's for business owners, most of them can't see how it will make any money, because they're going, hang on, I try and charge, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000 a day per project for consulting or video or whatever, and this book's selling for £10. How many am I going to have to sell? And it's like, that's not the maths. It's like, what if you could get, I mean, we also teach people their books away. We gave over 50 or 60 books away at the last event at your show. I've already got 2 clients from it. That's £12,000 from giving 60 books away.
Amazing. I missed those bits. Wasn't there for that bit.
So let's talk about something else, which is bad reviews. Am I right in saying, because I haven't written a book, because I don't finish stuff.
Just started many.
I've never started any. I'm not. No, we won't go there. This is what I do. I go on air, I talk, I stop, and off we go. Books need planning. I'm not a planner. But I think that the threat, and I may be wrong, of bad reviews, of negative feedback, nastiness, of some of the really negative stuff that we hear about on social media at the moment, some of the horrible things we see saying. You're putting yourself out there, and it's like there, isn't it? Once you've written that book and it's printed, you can't go, no, I didn't say that, because there it is. Did you have? This is a horrible question.
No. Actually,
did you have negative reviews?
It's a great question. So I did have a negative from my perspective, but not from the person who asked. So because the book, I mean, when you say you think it's just about mothers, but it's about women and people in general, to be fair. And then I gave the manuscript to somebody I really respect. She's a coach, but she's in her 60s and chose not to have children. Okay, so then there is a section in my book where I discuss the idea of lack of representation. I was saying how mostly, like in the world, it's very hard to find like a woman who's leader, and those who are leaders, i.e. Theresa May and the rest. I don't know their reasons, but most of them don't have children, and that was like maybe because of that. Women maybe like don't feel they don't have like enough examples for them to aim as high as they could, because having a child sometimes can make you stop from And then I discussed, there was this one lady, I think she was a New Zealand Prime Minister. She was one of the first ones to have done it in office. She had a child in office, and I said this was brilliant. And why can't we have enough people like that? So me saying that, she was like, I'm offended. How can you say that? And then I was like, I'm not coming from a position of, I'm not trying to criticize your position. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to view all the angles possible. So because it's just a conversation.
But you can't, can you?
Exactly, you can't. Yeah.
And I think negative. Am I right, Helen? I think you've probably seen a lot of this. Mm-hmm. Is it fair to say that you must expect to get negative reviews? They're just going to happen.
And I think any time you put yourself out there, I have clients who say they're afraid to go live on video, or they're afraid to post like heartfelt stories. It's like it's like Brené Brown, daring greatly. If you've got something you're passionate about, whether it's your work, Noelle, is very powerful. But it could be like, I just teach people marketing and publishing. I mean, that's it. It's not brain surgery, but I am absolutely passionate about it because I know the difference it makes to those businesses. Mm-hmm. But someone's going to say, books are so last century, you should be doing TikTok or whatever. There's always going to be a different view. And honestly, if you are putting yourself out on the web in any sense, or through speaking, you're going to run into some nutters. You're going to run into some crazies out there.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? My answer to this, when people say I'm not going to do that because if I'm going to get nasty stuff, is go and have a look. Everybody's got nasty stuff. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, everybody's got somebody who said something horrible on about what they've done or their book, and there are just nutters out there. Just really are. People arguing with the price. I saw something on Facebook the other day. People arguing about the price of saucepans. that somebody had said these are the Rolls Royce of saucepans. People, what did you expect for the Rolls Royce of saucepans? You're looking at a scooter and a Rolls Royce. you go, good heavens, that's really expensive for a car. Because it is. It's a Rolls Royce. Yeah. Endless conversations. Thinking, what are you? Of course, I was reading it, so I'm also.
Yes, we're also doing.
But I was looking at it from an interest point of view, not engaging in the conversation. I'm thinking, how much time have you spent doing this?
Yes.
Commenting on this, and that is just going to happen, isn't it? Yeah. Where people are going to, what can I say that's nasty now?
The remedy, just not take it personal.
Yeah.
Yes. Because it's a point of view. I agree to disagree. So whether you agree with it or not, whether you think I sound funny, whether you think that what I'm saying about is irrelevant, that's fine. So I'm okay with that. So I've made peace with that. So I'm okay. Anything anybody says, okay.
It is the hardest thing, isn't it? Reviews is and having that, because I think we had someone recently and they said they had 100 amazing reviews about a singing video they put up, one bad review. And it knocked it for 6 months.
Yeah. That boils up inside them.
You just think, oh God.
We do. We just focus on it because it chucks us out of the group, doesn't it? We're out of the clan. Where suddenly we're geared to not want rejection. Yeah. Just very, very quickly, because we're running out of time. Noelle, what do you know now that you wish you'd have known when you started out on your publishing journey?
That's an interesting question. I wish I'd met Helen.
Right, okay, so seeing as Helen isn't stood there with a hammer over your head, you don't have to say that. Why? What do you feel was missing? Now that you look back on your journey, what was missing that she could have filled in for you?
I feel like I'm figuring out things as I go along. So I was prepared for my product, which I'm grateful for. But had I had someone like her initially, maybe I would have known what to do in terms of strategies and my audience. Yeah, things like that.
So you could have saved time. You could have reached more people.
Yeah, reached more people.
And potentially had a clearer objective.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And sold more.
Yes.
Quicker.
Yes.
Helen, what is your top tip for publishing a book?
Begin with the end in mind. Know what you want it to do for you, whether that is you want more people to donate to a charity, whether you want people to buy your thing. Write the right book, so begin with that end in mind, then the rest is easy. And I would say it's never too late. What's great about Amazon, we can get that book down and back up in 24 hours if you wanted to add a new page or if you wanted to put something in.
Oh, so, that's cool.
Yeah, it's great.
You see, I did not know, mind you, I don't publish a book. I don't publish books.
So you can change as you wish.
And does Amazon print it and send it out to the
Yeah,
person?
they do the job. I don't have a printer in my house. Not even a simple one.
Well, that's what I was thinking, like, you've poor girl.
No.
Basically, that's why she's having all these kids now. It's like child labour.
Helen, how do people get hold of you?
So the best thing is to come and check me out on the website, writeyourbook.biz, B-I-Z.
Okay, so we have got just a couple more minutes. So, Helen, what do you see what's the biggest mistake people make when they're getting their book out there?
It's, the writing part is the easy bit. They do not focus on the marketing. And even if you don't want to sell a product, it is like 10% writing, 90% marketing. It is having that long-term plan. It's like a book is like any other asset, like an amazing video or something, or a lead magnet. You want to make it work for the lifetime of your business. So I would say they're really excited about the writing, they get that done, and then it's like, no, day one, let's get your marketing plan in place.
So you need the full thing in front of you.
Yeah, or at least some ideas. Like, okay, here's 10. Where are 10 ways you could, get your book out? Then let's start with that, and then take it from there.
Okay, I wish we could continue this conversation. I really do, but we can't. I can't actually see what time it is because I can see one thing or the other, and I've moved further away. I don't know why. Hang on a minute. If I move back a bit, and if we just disappear off air, you'll know why.
I don't want to brag. I can see it. Do you want me to tell you it's 12? Okay, sorry.
Excellent vision over there.
I can see it. So let's round it up. So Rachel Bryant from your video team, thank you so much for being my co-host today. Hopefully first of many times. So also in the studio we have Noelle Mapianda, author of I can't see it now. Queen, Get Your Mojo Back.
That's right.
Thank you so much for sharing your inspiration and your story. And Helen Vandenberg, expert publisher, marketer, delver into what makes people tick and what people are going to buy. Thank you so much for being a guest on the studio. Thank you also for being a sponsor of the Women in Business Big Show for 2023. And Noelle for being a guest.
Yeah,
for being an exhibitor out there.
It was nice.
I think I need to stop now, don't you? I think I've reached the end of the show. I'm Sian Murphy. I'm going to say goodbye. This is the Women in Business Radio Show, and we will see you all very, very soon. You take care.
Tune in next week, Women in Business Radio Show, for more stories, ideas, inspiration to help you grow your business.